Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pickleball and Politics, where I combine my quest to stay out of the kitchen with my passion for politics. As you know, I start every episode with some pickleball, and I had somebody leave me a comment, and they wanted to know if I thought my Level Up clinic was worth the money. I told you it was $300 when I took it. It was a one-day clinic about a month ago. I did a review on it, and I told them my game has gotten much better in the last month. Now, maybe it's because I'm playing a little bit more regularly. But I will say a month later, plus, that I do think the Level Up class, the one-day clinic that I took with them, was worth it. So I wanted to kind of give you an update on that because somebody asked me about that. Once again, I'm going to tell you, you can reach me on Getter at Pickleball and Politics, on Instagram at Pickleball and Politics, on the Big X now, Twitter, I'm sorry, I hit that, Pickle and Paul. You can go to my YouTube channel, Pickleball and Politics, or go to pickleballandpolitics.com, my website. So I wanted to tell you how I spent my day. I went to a Vivek. People go both names, Vivek or Vivek. I was saying Vivek, but everybody today was calling him Vivek. So it's Vivek Ramaswamy. Not the easiest name to say, but he was doing Scott Brown's former senator, former ambassador, Scott Brown's No BS barbecue talks. So Scott Brown is, as I said, former senator in Massachusetts, and he is a former ambassador to New Zealand. Donald Trump appointed him ambassador, and he lives in New Hampshire now. He moved up there, left Wokechusetts, and he is hosting a whole series of no BS barbecues. I guess he already had Nikki Haley. Today he had Vivek. Mike Pence is coming in a couple of weeks. I think I might go back for that, maybe just to troll him. I'm not sure. But I wanted to tell you about Vivek. First of all, they had us inside, then outside because the weather was atrocious. It was so hot when the sun came out, and it was literally, you took your life in your hands of lightning and thunder before and after he got there. I will say he arrived full of energy. He's 38 years old. He's young. All of his yard signs, they were handing these out, so I took them. All of his yard signs were lining the highway. Once you got off of 95, they were lining the highway. They wanted you to know. I will say his advance people were great. They had a lot of energy. They were young. And he has, this is the second time I've seen him. I saw him also talk at Turning Point last month, and I went to his after party last month. So I was in this little area, and he was coming in, and before he spoke, and I was standing beside some elderly women who were having a very hard time getting around. And Scott Brown asked Vivek to come in. If I'm mistaken, say Vivek again. I'm apologize because I really thought it was Vivek until today, but it's Vivek. He brought them over to these ladies. So I stood right there, and he did say hello to me. And I thanked him for buying me a couple of drinks last month in Palm Beach. And he looked at me funny. And I said, I was at your party at Turning Point that you had after Trump. And he said, oh, that was a great party, wasn't it? I said, it was a great party. And surprisingly, he said, did you have enough to eat? And I said, I had enough to eat, but I could have used one or two more cocktails. And he said, oh, that's great. What is your name? And I told him, and he thanked me for coming, and he asked where I was from. And I said, Massachusetts. And he said, you were down in Florida and now you're here in New Hampshire? And I said, oh yeah, this country's important to me. And he said, oh, that's great. It was so nice meeting you. Very engaging. He had a moment with everybody who shook his hand. And you don't always get that. I've been to enough of these. I have been going up to New Hampshire to see Democrats and Republicans and independents since probably 1980 or maybe 84. I've love going up to New Hampshire. They will always be first in the nation to me. Hashtag FITN. They are first in the nation. They're a short drive for me to get to. And I've seen them all. I've seen Obama. I've seen Reagan. I've seen Bush 1, Bush 2, Kennedy, John Kerry. I said John Kerry, right? John Edwards, McCain, Romney, Ryan. Last year was a really not last year, but last election cycle was really slow because it was COVID, so there was almost nobody. 16, I saw Cruz, I saw Rubio, I saw Scott Walker, I saw Rand Paul, Lindsey Graham, I mean Trump several times, Jeb Bush. I saw them all, everybody who was running, one at a time. They got kicked off at the end of the podium, and it was just Trump standing at the end. But I have been going up there for years. I've seen dozens and dozens of political candidates. And so I saw Vivek today, and he has amazing energy. He's not going to be president of the United States in 2024. Might he be president of the United States in 28, 32, 36, 40? I think I did that right. 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Maybe. He's young. He's 38. But I do like his platform, and I like his handouts. This I use for a fan, I'll be honest with you, because it rained like no one's business. And then the sun came out and it was blazing hot and I was soaking wet and it was not pretty. But this he gave out, and on the back it says end foreign wars, peace in Ukraine, shut down the administrative and biosecurity state, and protect free speech and the Second Amendment. And it's right there. Right there. Let you know his platform. I haven't gotten anything like that at a lot of rallies. Oh, sure, they're handing out stickers and buttons and yard sales and big signs like this, but they don't have all of this on the back. And this is also in this. So I can tell you what it says. It says, I can tell you this here, okay? God is real. There are two genders. Human flourishing requires fossil fuel. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is no border. Parents should determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to man. That's probably the greatest thing he has here, and that's so important. 8, capitalism lifts people from poverty. 9, the people we elect to run government do not actually run the government. Well, we know that too with the deep state. And 10, the U.S. Constitution is the strongest grantor of freedoms in history. So I love that he did this. I'm not voting for him in the primary. You know who I'm voting for. I'm sticking with the former president to the end. I am sticking with the former president to the end. But I think this guy might be a great vice president. He has energy. He had his wife with him. It was her birthday. We all sang happy birthday to her. He was engaging. He said hello to everyone. Several people, he said, I've seen you before, haven't I? And they said, yes. And he goes, I remember you. And he didn't say that to me. So I don't think he was just BSing them. But this is the first time I've really seen, you see these all the time. That's the first time I've seen someone's platform, what they believe is the truth on the other side. So if Vivek comes to your area, if you're so inclined, I know some people said to me, you're not going to vote for him, so why did you come? Actually, several of his advanced people and people on the ground were going around asking people if they planned on voting for him. And I said, no, I don't. So that was sort of interesting. And they were like, well, thanks for coming. I had several people ask me, why, if you're not voting for him, did you come? And I explained to them that I've come to literally dozens and dozens and dozens of events like this. I'm sort of a political junkie. And when all I have to drive is 20 minutes to see all this, I mean, I didn't want to miss it. And I will give Scott Brown and his wife, Gail Huff, credit for running these. They had burgers. They didn't have burgers. They had hot dogs. Actually, they didn't have hot dogs either. They had them, but they were gone before they knew what happened. I never got any, but they did have a keg of beer. So I might have had a glass of beer. I did. They ran out of food. They had much more people, many more people than they imagined were going to come. So I would say that Vivek has a lot of energy behind him, and a lot of people are excited about his campaign. Is he going to go anywhere? Right now, he's number 2 in the polls in New Hampshire, and he's ahead of Ron DeSantis. So he does have energy, and I think he'd be a great VP candidate. He's young, he has energy, he's smart, and the best part about him is he's not a politician. He just isn't a politician. Is it a little early maybe for a millennial, a 38-year-old vice president? All I know is that a 38-year-old vice president would be this vice president would be way better than what we have now. As long as my guy, Donald Trump's on the top of the ticket, I'm fine with him number 2. So, as you know, I end every episode with the dink of the day. I don't have one today. So my default is that, once again, the Democrats in Massachusetts who want the local residents of the Commonwealth to house the illegals. I talked about it on my last podcast, and I'm telling you, not in my house. I got several messages from you all on that podcast, and it was like, oh, hell no, nobody's coming in my house. So I wish I'd gotten to ask Vivek about that today, because that's going to be a problem moving forward. Okay, until next time, you know where to reach me. Subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.